Hey everyone, hope you guys had a great Monday. The workout for Tuesday is 3 7-minute AMRAPs, all bunched together, so there's no break between them. The first and the third are the same, and then there's a different one sandwiched in the middle there. The way the first one will work, with a 7-minute clock, you do 14 weighted bear crawl steps, 21 sit-ups, as many times as possible. I'll go over the bear crawl and some of the options for that. Ideally, it's done with a pair of dumbbells. But of course, based on what you have, I'll give you guys a couple different options of how to do them. And then also based around whether you can actually crawl and just keep going forward, or if you have to go kind of like forward and backward based on the space you have, that'll also dictate how they're done. So I'll go over those options as well. Sit-ups, the sit-ups can be done. However, if you have a pair of dumbbells, you can anchor your feet underneath them. If you have an ab mat, you can put an ab mat there. If you don't have either of those things, you can do unanchored sit-ups with no ab mat. Doesn't really matter. Whichever variety you would like. Feet together, knees out, legs straight, knees bent, feet flat on the ground, whatever. As long as you sit all the way down and get all the way up. So as many rounds as possible there for 7 minutes, then right into the next 7-minute AMRAP with no break. 7 jumps, 14 plank rotations. The jumps for the options for that, just like last week, we'll have a box jump as one option. So if you have access to a box, or if you have access to a staircase, or a stoop outside, or a bench, anything that you can jump on safely and confidently. That being said, it's only 7 per round, so the idea would for it to be a challenging height. So if you have the ability to set that up, go for it. If not, I would recommend either tuck jumps, where you're jumping up, picking your knees up, basically to hip height, and then just landing nice and soft in a quarter squat, or a broad jump, where you are jumping as far out in front of you as possible, landing under control in a quarter or half squat, and then repeating. We did those last week as well, the jumps. So same idea. And then finally, the third AMRAP is the same as the first. So on the running clock, once that second one is up, you go right into the third one and the bear crawls and the sit-ups. We'll warm it up as per usual. Stretch out. I would recommend a couple sets of each movement, especially the jumps, just to make sure that your legs and hips and knees are all warmed up and prepared for that. And the bear crawl, in particular, for the coordination of it, it takes a little bit of getting used to, as far as like how to set up, how to move your opposite leg with the opposite hand so you don't get all tangled up in there. I'll show what that looks like, but you will want to practice that a couple times before you start. I think that's it. Let's go over the bear crawl options, what we're looking at here. So again, the recommended way to do it would be with a pair of dumbbells. I don't have much of a stretch here to continue going, so I'm just going to do 2 steps forward, 2 steps backward. That'll be 4 reps. No, sorry. I'm saying that incorrectly. So a step is... Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, a step is every single time your hand moves. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 2 steps forward, 2 steps backward with a pair of dumbbells. So the way you'll start is with one dumbbell out in front of the other, so they're staggered. And now I'm going to be moving this back dumbbell first. That means I want that leg to start back behind me, so I can coordinate moving with opposite arm and leg. So I'll start here, and then I'm going to bring this leg forward as I lift the dumbbell up and place it on the ground in front. And then I'll repeat with the opposite side. That's 1, 2. And now I'm going to go back by starting, I don't know if you guys can see me, but the dumbbell that is out in front now is going to initiate on the way back. So pick it up and extend that leg back, and then pick the opposite one up and extend that leg back. Okay, that was 4 reps. I would do that 14 total times. If you only have one dumbbell, and obviously if you have space, you just keep walking forward. Ideally, if you can get all 14 in one length, that would be ideal. One dumbbell, you would obviously start with it in one hand. And what I would encourage you to do is to do 14 reps total. It's going to be half of them done with using your right arm, and then half of them will be done using your left arm, which sounds much simpler than I just made it sound in the way I explained it. But it's just a matter of figuring out when you're going to switch hands, basically. So I'm going to start with, again, one hand out in front of the other. In this case, I'll start with my non-working hand out in front. That means that the opposite leg is back, because I'm going to lift the dumbbell up to initiate. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here you'd have to go 8. So just to finalize that last rep, then switch hands and go from there. So ultimately, that's why I got confused, because I knew the math wouldn't add up. So I would recommend doing 8 and then switch and do 8. So you round up to 16 total. That's how I would do that. And that's going to be the same with the kettlebell. If you only have one kettlebell, it would be the same idea. Obviously, the kettlebell sits a little higher, but you'd want to do that same exact thing that we just did, starting with the hand out in front. Getting gold crossed up here. This is why you have to practice this. And then from there, lift the kettlebell up, bring the opposite leg forward, and step backward, and lift the kettlebell and bring it backward. Okay. If you don't have dumbbells or a kettlebell, you can load up a backpack or a duffel bag with as much weight as you can possibly muster in there. And basically going to drag it. So you do a bear crawl, take a couple steps out in front, and then reach back, grab the bag, pull it forward, and then you'd walk backward, and then reach forward and pull it all the way back behind you. And just continue in that fashion for 14 total steps, which should end up being 7 drags of the bag. All right. The sit-up, we discussed, the jumps. I'm not going to demonstrate those options in here, but hopefully you guys recall that from last week. If you have questions, let me know. The plank rotation, real quick, starts in the top of a push-up. You're going to pivot on the feet, pivot the hips, end up completely here on your side, supported by that arm. Make a T with the opposite arm, so it's perpendicular to the body. Lower back under control, and repeat on the opposite side. And that would be 2 reps, and now I'm going for 3 reps. And you're doing 14 total, so 7 each side per set. All right, guys, I think that does it. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. Normal class scheduled tomorrow, and hope to see some of you guys there. Good night.